I'm going to start by explaining the board, and then I'm going to explain the rules, and then we'll play around. So the game's collaborative, and the way it works is it represents multiple years of investment in building a digital health system in a country. And during that year, you as a team have the ability to make a bunch of investments in digital health systems or interoperability or scale or other things. And then something's going to go wrong in the health system because something always does. So at the end of the year, there's something goes wrong. And then there's also new investments every year. And then the next round starts. So one round is a bunch of investments are made, something goes wrong with the health system, and there's new investments. The board represents our country. So you'll notice there's this target area here in the middle. The very center, it says pilot. And so any digital health implementation, which are represented by these little colored chips, are pilot projects. This ring here in the middle is district level. So that's like we've taken our initial pilot, we've scaled it up to district. That would be a district project. And this outer ring is a national level implementation. So a project in that ring would be a national level system. You'll also notice that our target shape is divided into 4 quadrants. So each of these quadrants is a disease area. So we have HIV and AIDS, we have cholera, we have malaria, and we have TB. We know this is a gross oversimplification of the health system writ large. For the purpose of the game, let's just imagine these are the 4 priorities of the government that we're investing in systems around. And then each of the chips is a different color. There's 4 types of systems in the game. So each of the colored chips is a digital health system. So the orange ones are messaging systems. So like SMS or WhatsApp systems that enable citizens to be engaged with or the workforce to be communicated with. It might be like mHero or Rapid Pro. The purple systems are community information systems. So this is like our system that our health worker is using as an immunization registry, OpenSRP. It could also be ComCare, DHS2 Tracker, Medic Mobile CHT tool. The pink systems are EMRs. So these are facility-based tools or hospital-based tools that are electronic medical records. And then finally, we have our teal systems here, and those are training learning systems. So these are digital systems meant to train the workforce. Yeah, so that is the types of systems in the game. So there's 4 types of systems. There's 4 different disease areas. There's pilot, district, and national level. And you'll see the types of systems are all distributed across the different areas. And I'll get to a bit more on that in a second. So every round, the first thing you do as a group, but each group gets to make a set of investments. You're all working for the Ministry of Health in UNESA. You've all worked on some digital health projects in the past, and a new minister has come in to run the ministry, and she has decided that digital is going to be the key to strengthening UNESA's ability to have a strong health system. And so she's really gung-ho on digital. She reaches out to all of you and pulls you together into a new unit, the Digital Health Implementation Unit of the ministry, and basically gives you an annual budget that you can expend on 5 different types of activities. The first thing you can do is you can invest in new systems. You can add a system to the board. So we don't have an EMR for malaria. For 1 action, so 1 bit of your budget, you can add a system to the board. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do, if you noticed, we've got some pilots where there's multiple systems in the same area. So we've got 2 learning systems in cholera. We have 2 EMRs in HIV, probably a USAID and a CDC investment in the same country that weren't coordinated. And so you can remove a system from the board with one of your actions. You can do that hard governance work of bringing the partners together, figuring out which of the systems you actually want to have, and so you can remove fragmentation from the system for an action. So add a system, remove a system. Another thing you can do is, let's say we've got a successful project that we're excited about. For 1 action, you can scale a system. So you can scale from pilot to district. But if you want to scale it to national, we know that that's a lot harder, a lot more resource intensive, a lot more time intensive. So it takes 2 additional actions to get to national level. So 1 action for district, 2 more actions to get to national. So 3 actions overall to get to national level. The fourth type of thing you can do is if you don't have fragmentation and all your systems are at the same level of scale, you can invest in interoperability between your systems. But as we've learned in this course, interoperability requires a lot of governance and a lot of investment and coordination of partners. So this also takes 2 actions, but interoperability looks like this. This enables the different systems in the disease area to function as one, to exchange information, and there's a lot of benefits to interoperability. So that takes 2 actions. And finally, the last thing you can do here in ONESA is you can invest in governance. As we discussed today, investing in governance itself is governance is something that requires sustained investment and participation and engagement with. So you can put some budget resources to running your governance processes in country. And governance does something really interesting that I will show you in a second. So you can do those 5 things: add pieces, remove pieces, scale, interoperate, or invest in governance. So at the end of every year, something goes wrong, a random thing. So I pull a shock card and we see what the health shock is. So this says heavy rains, damage, HIV, AIDS, treatment facility. And if there's no EMR system in place, we lose all those health records. And so this is the health challenge. So to overcome this health challenge, you'd need an EMR for HIV and AIDS. So if we look at our HIV and AIDS quadrant, we see there's 2. Fantastic, we've got coverage. However, how bad is this shock? Is this a small shock that a pilot can handle, or is it something that happens at the district or the national level? So if I pulled like a 2 here, that would mean it's a district level issue. If I pulled a 3, that's a national issue. And then you'd have a health failure were that card to be pulled, and the health failure meter would go up. If you've played Pandemic, you'll recognize this little mechanic here. You have 5 health failures that you can absorb before the minister is kicked out of the office and all sorts of issues happen. So you want to beat the game before you have 5 failures. So you protect yourself by failures of investments, and you have the scale of your investments determine how much you can be protected. The other thing that happens is an investor comes in to invest. So in this example, a leading civil society organization launches new information, a hub for HIV and AIDS. So they're going to invest in a new community information system. So we already have one there that would add fragmentation. Oh no, we don't want more fragmentation. This is a bad donor investment. Not quite sure which donor it was. We'll blame Irish Aid. They're the ones who invested in this. Darn it, Irish Aid, why are you doing this? Luckily, we've invested in governance. So governance can do one of 2 things. It can change the type of investment. So there's not a learning system. So we might convince them, rather than investing in a community system, invest in a learning system. Or it can change the disease area. So we can say, oh, we already have this community information system for HIV. Let's instead move it to TB. So that's what governance can do. Otherwise, if you didn't have the governance card, you'd get whatever the donor invests in. So that's the general flow of the game.